Now, Conklin Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Welcome back, everyone. It is time for Take 3 with Fletcher Word from the Sojourner's Truth newspaper and London Mitchell from our media partner, Cumulus Radio. Thanks for coming in, both of you. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. You're off doing a lot of other things. Maybe we'll broach that, the expansion of your empire, and we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. Maybe in a couple of minutes. You bet. All right, first of all, let's go back to Wednesday night at the University of Denver, the first big presidential debate, and everybody said, well, this is Mitt Romney's chance to really pick up some ground, trailing in most every poll. And boy, you talk to anybody Wednesday night, late Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and boy, it was Mitt Romney's big night, right? One of three, but it was his big night. Fletcher's, go ahead and start.
And he did well, or I should say that President Obama did not very well. He was clearly off of his game, and I think there were basically two reasons for that. You know, this is, for Mitt Romney, this is a full-time job, and that definitely showed in terms of his preparation. But, you know, the other factor is, you remember back in 2008, you know, candidate Obama started off pretty slow in these debates before he found his footing. And hopefully from his side, from his perspective, the White House perspective, he will have enough time in this more abbreviated format of three debates to find that footing. But he definitely started off slow this time as he did in 2008. Very slow.
London, before the debate, both sides were quick to say, hey, the other guy will win. The other guy's better. The other guy's a great debater. So expectations, they were trying to quell them. Were you surprised that what happened Wednesday night?
Well, two things surprised me. One is how aggressive Romney was right from the get-go. He was glib, he was on message, and I think the answer to the first question, very first question, in response to Obama, threw Obama off. I don't think the answer was what he was expecting, and how Romney redefined what he actually meant by tax cuts. And Obama was there with his numbers. There's going to be several $1 trillion here and several trillion there. And that's not how Romney responded. And I think it threw him off right from the get-go. Yeah. The other part that kind of surprised me, and I had to finally walk away from the TV and just listen to the audio because I was starting to get so picky about how the two were delivering their message. For as wise as Obama has been, or purportedly media-wise, his coaching that night was terrible. He kept looking off camera to Jim Lehrer, not into the camera to speak to the American people. And I think that was poor. If you look back, he did not address most of the time the camera that was right in front of him. He kept looking off camera. And I'm surprised because he normally has stage presence.
Yeah, incredible, really incredible.
Command of the camera, the demeanor of both of the candidates was strikingly opposite. You know, Romney was obviously enjoying himself a great deal more than Obama was at that particular moment. And I think that the numbers thing was important, as London was saying. You know, Romney backed away from his $5 trillion tax cut plan, which is there in some substance, and he just said, no, it's not there, and everything came to a standstill. Right. There's no question about that.
Well, and immediately after, or at least 2 days after, we saw an ad about Mitt Romney on taxes and the deficit, where the tax cut would come from, and where the money works here, and so there was an attack ad from the Obama campaign right away, and then the jobs report comes out Friday, 7.8%. And the Republicans say, hey, it's, despite the fact it's under that 8%, it's really not a recovery.
Well, of course they will say that. If it came down to 5%, they would say that. They would have to say that. But the fact is, this was an astonishing decrease in the unemployment numbers.
Astonishing.
Astonishing, because economists had predicted that it would go up to 8.2%. A drop of 3 percentage points is just astonishing at this time. And I think, how much more timely could it be for Obama, this next to the last one? I mean,
well, he needed that big time.
Oh, you know, after the debate performance, he really needed, and I think this gave him, you know, a push going into this weekend, that he could ill afford to just rest on the debate performance.
I think the people that support Obama needed that to reinforce them, just like the people that support Romney needed a good showing at the debate because they needed some reinforcement. Geez, I think there were a lot of people that were worried they were putting good money after bad because of the way the polls were coming out. They needed a good showing from Romney to give them support, and I think the job numbers gave the Obama supporters. I'm not convinced, though, that one debate has changed anybody's stand as to whether they're going one way or the other.
It's a three-game series here.
It is a three-game series, and you can often go back historically and question the impact of debates. You really can. And there are times when people get good punches in, and apparently he hasn't done anything in the long run. Or there are times when people have looked lackluster, and it hasn't mattered to them, to their ultimate victory. So many people who watched on Wednesday night knew who they were going to vote for ahead of time. So it's a very small percentage
of the
that's
undecideds.
Moving the needles.
Right.
Very small percentage.
Well, you mentioned the people who watched. 67.2 million people, according to the Nielsen ratings company, watched on Wednesday night. That's a lot of folks, but it wasn't as many as watched Sarah Palin and Joe Biden, in 2008. And speaking of the vice presidential clash, that's coming up this Thursday in Kentucky.
That's going to be the interesting one.
It's Paul Ryan and Joe Biden, and Paul Ryan, we understand, will be in Toledo tomorrow.
Yes.
So,
well, Paul Ryan defines some of the more fringe elements of the Republican platform, if you will, that Romney has sort of smoothed over. And a lot of those have to do with Medicare, quite frankly. And I'm sure that Joe Biden is going to be in full throat going after Ryan on those
a number of ways.
And as he always is. And Ryan has not had the luxury, as Romney has had, of being so practiced in this debate format. You know, he comes at this rather new.
I mean, I think we're all looking forward to this one. Maybe
even more so than
London.
It might be more entertaining because just the Biden
factor.
Entertaining. He can just talk by himself, and it'll be fine.
He can, and he has that kind of sarcastic manner about him that can make a real show out of it. It really could.
Well, you can. You'll remember against Sarah Palin, he was noticeably restrained. I mean, you could almost see the blood coming out of his mouth from biting his tongue, as he had been instructed to do.
I don't think that'll happen this time. I think they'll both be really animated, and they'll both have some very powerful comebacks to each other.
I think the gloves will be off on this one. If Obama was overly timid, I think that that White House instructors and certainly Biden's coaches will say, okay, it's time to have a real Donnybrook.
And we may see we will see a different President Obama come those next two debates.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. And it'll a lot of fun to watch as we work our way toward November 6th. Thanks to both of you. I know we stuck on the presidential race, but you know, something that's so important to so many people come in just a few weeks. Thanks very much for being here. As always, Fletcher Word and London Mitchell. Make it a great Sunday, everybody. We will see you next week on Conklin Company, and want to remind everybody we'll be in Kentucky. Our 13 ABC Washington Bureau, Jacqueline Policastro, will be there for you and have reports from that vice presidential debate. We'll see you next week. Take care.